Good morning or afternoon, depending on wherever you're at. We're going to do something a little different. We say that in almost every video, don't we? We say we're going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, when's never anything the same?
That's because we're weird.
We like to change it up. We like to do different stuff, do different art challenges and things like that. So today we're going to do something I've kind of done before, but not exactly. So there's Wifey Pooh. And there's Charity. I don't know why she's doing that. Anyway, okay, so what we're looking at is this stuff. I've used this same product. It's called Body Silk. It's made by the Smooth Corporation.
Not
See if it'll go into focus. Focus.
We're willing to
There it is.
sponsorships.
Okay, and that stuff is what I use to make heads all across our house. If you've seen in some of our other videos, maybe things like this floating around. That is what we use to make those.
There's your head.
There's beautiful heads floating everywhere here.
Because we
So I made those
heads.
with Smooth and then filled them with plaster. I've also got some concrete ones, and they make good targets. That's she missed the mouth. Almost had it. Anyway, so today we're going to attempt to take Wifey Pooh's hands and Charity's hands and put them together and show them what you're going to do. Your little, yeah, they're going to do this thing right here. Ooh, and we're going to attempt to use the body silk and show you how that stuff works, and then take a bunch of plaster and stuff afterwards and make a little plaster decoration that we can put up. We may pour cement in it later. If you guys like this, then we may also do another video, which I'm kind of jazzed about. Maybe I shouldn't show you this. I want to try this stuff, but I don't want to show you the rest of the picture. It's not very appropriate. So this Life Right stuff, ordered it a while ago. Might be something worth trying. We have the Alginate, which we've also made hands with before. I used that for my son Colin. When he got married, we made a set of hands with his wife and his hand together, and then we used plaster. Turned out pretty cool. And but what I want to do is try using that stuff and maybe make something different. We're talking about maybe making a banana, you know, like casting a banana or something like that. If you guys can think of something funnier or more fun to do in epoxy, we're going to try using this stuff. And then maybe try using a little bit of this red, white, and blue epoxy dye. There you go. And hoping that stuff turns out well. Okay.
So before we do any of the mixing, we are going to take some plastic here, right here, and put a chunk of it on our table and tape it on so we can get it all messy without the table getting ruined.
Right.
That's
exactly.
the step before
Mostly
the
the
steps.
painter's tape.
Probably use painter's tape so that it doesn't get sticky stuff all over the table. We have taken this stuff right here. We're going to use some of these because I don't think we're going to need huge batches, but this stuff stirs a 1-to-1 stirs 1-to-1 ratio. So equal parts. You put them together and it makes its own. It turns a different color and it becomes a hard rubber after a few minutes. That's safe for the skin. The other stuff that's kind of like this, they I don't remember what it's called, but they it require you to shave off your hair and everything. Otherwise, it'll pull your hair out when you take it off. This stuff won't do that. You can put it over your head and your beard and stuff like that. The thicker the beard or the thicker the hair, the weirder it looks when you pull it out, but it still kind of works. Anyway, so we're taking this stuff, mixing it 1-to-1 ratio, and because we're doing hands, I don't think it's going to be as much as we use for like a head. We're going to use the smaller containers, probably multiple versions of it, so we're going to be throwing away a lot of cups. Anyway, sit back and maybe enjoy. Alright, let's see, I don't know if you can see me. So, I've got my gloves on, so I can't really hold my other camera to film. What we did is we took part A and part B and just filled these to the brim so that we knew we had an even mixture. Now we're going to take one of these other mixing cups, pour them in and mix them.
So this is actually pretty old. We aren't using new. This has been stored for years now. So we don't.
It's only got a shelf life of like a year, or I think recommended like 6 months. We've had this stuff for a couple of years, so we're hoping it still works. I think it will. That kind of seems to be working. It's all okay. So it's all kind of pouring by itself right now. See if I got the cups to kind of stick together because I want to make sure we get out as much as possible. Stuff is not cheap, so hopefully we can find some more product that works that's a little bit cheaper than and easier to find. But the stuff you can go on Amazon and get it. I ordered it in these huge containers, and that's enough to do a few busts, like heads, shoulders, or maybe one person. You could do like a whole body if you wanted to in this stuff. And anyway, we'll show you the steps, but it's kind of fun stuff to mess around with. So you take the stuff and you mix it until it turns this other kind of green color. You want to get all the little chunks of yellow and the lighter blue toothpaste looking color all incorporated together until it turns into this kind of green color. It's a nice even mixture. But after that it kind of firms up pretty quick, so you got to get it mixed quick. Okay, I think we made kind of too thick of a batch, or too much in that first round. It's starting to solidify, which is good.
Oh, is that what those bubbles mean? Mom,
So,
don't move.
If we let that sit for a minute, this stuff, the other good part about it is that you can add on top of it. So this stuff will adhere onto it. Even if you, after you cut the mold and put it away and you realize there's something you want to repair, you can go back and repair it with the same mixture and it'll adhere to the same stuff. So, all right, let's go and do another round.
On the camera with him.
Dang it.
Oh, look at that nice thing.
Yeah. All right, this stuff pours terribly, so.
Oh, dude, I can feel it solidifying.
Let's see if this trick works again.
And it evenly pours out.
Let's see if it's working.
I don't know if you guys can see that well. There we go.
See?
Reagan is smelling my back.
Smells so interesting.
And my butt. Because he has problems.
Hey, bud.
That's what they do.
He's smelling the ear of my monkey and wants
Hey,
to
bud.
eat it. That's your baby girl.
You see everything?
I could pop loose if I wanted to.
Got it. Oh, that's beautiful, Dad. Nice cake.
Kind of looks like it, huh?
Yeah. That's what my cake is going to be next year.
So at this step, it's almost completely solidified. And
Almost.
yeah, it needs a few more minutes. But while that's curing and while it's finalizing, I've got these plaster strips. It's basically an old school cast. Those of you who were, born in the 80s and broke your arm back then, like I did, might have had a cast similar. This stuff is, you just put it over. I think cotton is what they use. They would like to do cotton batting or something over that, and then they put that. They would put the plaster strips over that. You get them wet, and anyway, so we're going to show you how to prep those because they come in like big long strips, and you don't want them in that long of a strip when you're covering your lovely goop. So if you can see,
My
this
fingers are popping loose, and so is
is
my wrist.
not sticking to me anymore because it's all kind of a hard rubber. The stuff down below that we did, the final layer, they laid their hands down.
Obviously.
And yeah, so it's still a little sticky there. So we're going to let that finish curing while we take care of this. This is the plaster bandage stuff that we're going to use. And as you can see, it comes in really long strips. And we don't want to do that. We want to have little short strips. This is kind of a sad little pair of scissors. Not really ideal, but okay. So I'm putting it into this because I don't want the dust to get everywhere. This isn't something I would normally do in the kitchen. This is something I normally would do in the garage, or if it's a nice mild day, I do it outside maybe, but definitely don't want to do it in your kitchen like I'm doing right now. So sorry, honey. All right, so
Get the other camera started too.
So the purpose of this plaster is to make a nice rigid, think of it as like an outer skeleton around your mold. That way when you pull the hands out, or if you were doing a face or something like that, you pull it out and it'll still retain its structure. So when you pour it and fill it with something heavy, it doesn't bulge out the sides and you get something deformed. It looks like E.T.'s hand or something in there. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to take these strips and we're going to dip them in some water.
Like concrete.
And then we are just going to try to get most of the water out. Sorry, Charity. You want it to be relatively dry. So
But damp.
it looks kind of like an old
Rag.
washcloth or something, right?
Ew.
Like, ew, that hasn't been washed in a long time. Okay, and we're simply just going to put it on.
Oh, it looks like
Concrete.
weird how it's cold. I can't feel it.
Probably because it's cold water.
Okay, and then you kind of smear it. You see how the plaster fills in all those gaps? You guys are going to have to put your hands up again. No, not like that, sweetie. Yeah, like, yeah, there you go. Okay,
So this
this one feels like two pieces. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
So this is like concrete?
Oh, this is plaster. Yeah, it's the same kind of idea. You're adding water. You're adding water so that it kicks off what sets it up and it turns it into something that's hard.
It looks weird.
Do you think the people who made paper mache were like, how can we do this but with stronger materials? Or do you think they did the opposite way and they made this and they were like, huh, can we do this with weaker materials?
I don't know. Be interesting to know the
Backstory?
history of plaster bandages and where it came from. And
Paper mache.
I mean, maybe they made
you think
it
they came from
cast.
similar places, Eli?
I think so, because it's kind of the same thing. Instead of newspaper and glue, you're using plaster bandages and water.
So a lot of people I've heard have taken plaster. You can film my face for a second, Eli.
Okay, hold on. Let me see the focus. It's really blurry. Hold on.
Okay.
Trying to. Okay, it's focused on my hand.
Turn it off and turn it back on.
This is really cool. It's starting to feel cold.
It sounds like I'm taking a picture.
Yeah, that's the shutter.
Okay.
Hi, baby.
Hey, baby.
Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay.
Oh, I'm so happy you didn't get get that on film.
I've seen people try to do like molds and stuff with regular plaster, which you can do of different objects, but you never want to do that you never want to do that to like a hand or a face or anything like that, because plaster heats up to super hot temperatures. So even this, you'll feel as it kicks off, they'll notice it starts to get warm. So this stuff isn't as dangerous, but if somebody takes like a big blob of plaster and you put your hand in it and it hardens up, there have been people who've had to have limbs cut off because of that. So this isn't something to play around with if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, it's like concrete.
Yeah, exactly.
But it gets hotter than concrete?
Yep.
But I never heard the saying, plaster shoes.
The thing is that normally I wouldn't go all the way around with this stuff. Normally, like for doing a head, I would leave a seam. I would do one section and then another section and put like Vaseline where it could stick in the middle so you can make a shell. Because that's what we're doing, essentially, is making a shell. They think that they can pull their hands straight out of this after this stuff forms up. So hopefully that's true.
I'm Batman.
Because if not,
If not, we're going to have to cut the cast and reinforce it. Not a big deal, but it'll just take longer. But we've never done, with this material, with this kind of style, we've never done this. This is kind of an experiment. Normally when I do hands, it's in alginate. Alginate's way easier, safe. Alginate's the same stuff that they use when you do dental work and they take castings of your teeth. So now we're going to try and let them get their arms out. This isn't fully cured,
and this is not what we were going for,
but it's hard already. Yeah, we were hoping for a steeper contour, but we're gonna see if we can get something out of it anyway. Anyway, so they're going to try. You working on it?
Yep, I can feel our hand moving.
And because it's not fully cured, we got to be real careful moving our hands around in there so that it doesn't break the plaster.
Don't pull too hard.
Okay, she's got her hand. Okay. Now you need to do the same thing. Just take your time. Wiggle your fingers around. Yeah, looks like you got it. Just move nice and slow.
Then it'll be really funny.
Nice and slow.
In
Move
the middle of
your hand
it,
around
it
while you do
breaks. It cracks.
It'll make sure that
right when she-
no oxygen, no air is getting stuck onto it. You got it?
Yeah, it was just getting it off the out of the wrist.
All right.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Whoa!
Look, my hands are
Look,
free.
can you see in there?
Yeah.
So
Other way.
that might be.
A better angle. Wow. Yeah, that's great.
We're probably going to have to take one side and cap it off, fill it up with some junk because it's not at the right angle to be able to just fill it. So, and get all the detail that we wanted to get. So hopefully it turns out. Stick around and you'll see the end of this project. For us, it's going to be
Tomorrow.
a couple days because we got to let the stuff cure. I've sealed up the bottom, hopefully. Hopefully it works.
So right now we're trying to tape up the mold so it stays still when we pour in the plaster. Hopefully it works.
Right now we're holding it in place. We want to hold it up in place so that we can pour the fluid into it and it will fill up at the bottom, which I've sealed with some rubber, which is actually just 2 gloves. See? Alright, tape those around the base. So I've never done a mold this way. I have no idea if it's actually going to work. Usually you do a seam with this kind. So we'll see. And we're going to mix up some plaster. Plaster of Paris.
Hopefully it looks good. Hopefully it actually works. See you later. So what we're trying to do right now is make a nice big pitcher full of plaster that is the consistency of thin pancake batter. That's it. Okay. So hold on.
We got it poured now, so.
Okay, so we are pouring the plaster inside the mold. Oh, I saw it!
Hopefully that's enough. Whoa. Alright, let's keep going.
Let's hope that doesn't fall out.
Okay, we need to kind of squish it around and tap it so we get as many of the bubbles out as we can. Oh shoot.
Is it pouring out?
No, the tape just popped and we needed to stay standing up. Okay. See what happens. Just going to try to get as much of this crammed in here as possible. Dang it.
Actually, that's perfect. That's almost exactly what we want. We want it to be just at the edge, so it's not a huge arm and a small one. It's just two wrists and hands going into each other. I think it looks pretty good.
Good. Now we need to rinse this out, but we have to do it outside because you can't rinse the stuff down the drain. It'll clog your drains forever. So, do that next.
If you're following along with us, make sure you have a hose.
And don't do this in your kitchen. Not a good idea.
Garage, maybe, if you have one.
Outside.
Shop. If you don't live in Arizona, nice sunny day outside. If you do live in Arizona, winter, so perfect. Right now we have the mold pretty much dry. It's been about 6 hours. We're gonna cut it open with a knife and then cut the mold open with a vibrating saw. Note, if you want to do this and you're just watching this for instructions, vibrating saw is the best because if you accidentally slip, it won't hurt you. It only cuts stuff that's solid and not your mushy hands. So, ooh.
Huh. Weird.
Then molded the tape. What?
Alright, so I'm hoping I didn't go into the plaster anywhere, but it's kind of hard to tell. Well, the truth shall set you free.
Ah!
this is our little experiment after we took the plaster bandage off. Hoping that it works and it's not just a complete failure. This knife is not sharp. Yeah, it's an X-Acto knife. Alright, is he still filming? We're going to take this hobby blade or X-Acto knife or whatever and give this guy a cut.
Since we're not reusing the model, which you guys could do, and probably have a nicer cut, we're just going to tear this thing apart and throw it away later.
You can't reuse these.
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Normally you can, yeah.
But since it doesn't look that nice, probably can't.
But on this one we weren't really going for that. We just wanted to
Experiment.
try some of the old leftovers, see if they were still good. So
Clearly it was.
clearly it worked somewhat at least.
I mean, some parts still not dry.
Oh, it's dry. Okay. Now
Uh-oh.
that doesn't look right.
What?
It looks like the mold kind of folded. I'll show you. Oh, dang it. I thought I got the air bubbles out. You see how the fingers look really good and detailed there? But then right there, it's missing a spot. That's from an air bubble. And so is this piece here. See that?
Yeah.
So we'll look at that in a sec.
Weird. Is this what they make suction cups out of? Like those little foam things?
No. Not that I know of. Whoa!
Ugh.
That's actually where my fingers didn't pop. Was the knuckles.
Dang. One of the fingers is like hollowed out.
Anytime you're using a knife like this, be careful where you're swinging it. Make sure nobody's close enough to cut, because this is literally a razor. So, alright, so it's not perfect. It's not great even, but you can see there, look at all the detail in the fingers.
Just don't go to that second thumb.
So yeah, and then you look at that thumb, that looks really good.
And then the other thumb is.
And then that thumb is like, yeah, whoopsies. So you got to get that air out.
This is what air bubbles cause.
Right, so it looks like some sort of crazy stuff. And this is where we didn't have enough plaster bandage around it, so it turned when we poured the heavy plaster in, so it makes the skin like it's all folded up. I guarantee you her skin does not fold there like that. So
Uh-huh. Nice, but there's not really a way to put it as a stand. Actually, I think we did it backwards.
okay, so if Wifey Poo decides that she likes this enough to use it, even with its imperfections, I mean, you can go, especially when it's kind of damp right now, after the first day or so, it's going to be kind of damp. That's okay, the water's still leaching out. So what I'll probably do though, if I clean it up and she likes it enough, we'll probably cut these off right there. I'll run it with my bandsaw, or maybe bandsaw or chop saw or something, and just kind of jink and make these parts flat so that it can sit like this on a surface. You could always, run some screws in here. It'd be better to put the screws in if you were going to put screws or some sort of hanging material in this so that you could hang it on the wall. Seeing that it is heavy, it's better to put that stuff in the material, in the plaster, before you pour it. So you put it in your mold, you pour your plaster, you let it all set up, and then you can take it all apart, and your hardware will already be solidified in there. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see us do more weird crafts and stuff like this, or if you can think of something else you'd like to see us make, comment below and let us know.
You do it.
And until next time, we'll see you next time. Bye.